Hello everyone. In this video, I want to talk about how the fear of embarrassment is a social distortion, and that in most cases, that the fear of embarrassment or the feeling of being embarrassed is a burden that forces you to suffer unnecessarily and stops you from doing what you want to do. So I've created a methodology that I use to overcome that, and I want to share that with you so that you can be more free and do whatever you want to do throughout your life moving forward. So I'll break this video down into two parts. One is my journey of overcoming embarrassment personally, and then two, my sort of methodology sort of summed up in a way that you can leverage it moving forward, and an example of where I just used this just actually yesterday, hence why I'm making this video. So the first bit is talk about myself. So when I was growing up, and I'll give you an example of how embarrassment is sometimes irrational. Now, of course, if you're going to do something that puts you into danger, like you're going to embarrass yourself on national TV by, doing something ridiculous, I'm not advocating for that per se. What I'm saying is more like the embarrassment of like, I don't want to dance in public. I don't want to, go do something new because I might look stupid. That kind of embarrassment. That's kind of what I'm referring to. And I believe that it's mostly socially constructed, let's say, in your mind. And usually it's a distortion of how you perceive yourself and how the world perceives you. So I'll give you a good example of this in my own life. So when I was in high school, when I went to university, and I was playing American football in college. And when you're on the college team, you get rookied or you get hazed. You get bullied essentially for 2 weeks while you're on the team. You don't get a name. You're just known as the rookie. And on my team, there was like 30 new rookies on the team, and we all didn't have names. And you had to do extra tasks. You had to bring people's equipment in for them. You had to get water for everyone. Sometimes you had to buy coffee or newspapers for people. It was a ridiculous period of time, but a lot of fun too. It was a good humored hazing, let's say. But I had a secret that I had held deeply for like 18 years out of embarrassment, which was my middle name was weird. It is Butters, like Butters. So my middle name was Butters. And when I was maybe 5 or 6, when I achieved consciousness, I was like, Mom, why is my middle name what you put on the bread in the morning? Like, why is it Butter with an S, Butters? And she was like, oh, it's her last name. And, be proud of that. And I was like, okay, cool. But then she said something like, don't tell people because, I got made fun of when I was growing up. Butterfingers, butter chicken, buttercup, butterball. And she just went on this kind of tirade of how that name was not useful. And I'm sure she didn't say it like that. I was probably 5 or 6. But in my mind, it imprinted as this is a danger. It's like kryptonite, like social kryptonite. If anyone finds out your middle name is Butters, it's game over. So when I was in college, no one in elementary school, no one in high school had ever heard my middle name. If I had said something if someone asked me my middle name, I just said I didn't have one, or I just make it up. And so when I was in university, this was my deepest, darkest secret. And so one day, and maybe 3 or 4 days into this sort of 2-week mini camp before the season started, I was in my locker. I just come out of the shower, so I'm vulnerable because I'm naked. I've got my towel, but I feel I'm literally and metaphorically naked, let's say, and spiritually naked. And this guy walks up, and he's the main bully. He's the captain of the team, and he's the guy who's the asshole. And again, in a good-natured way, but he's this gigantic dude, 6'5", blonde hair, blonde beard, looks like a Viking. And he grabs my wallet, and he's just going through it to mess with me, right? And he gets to my driver's license, and he looks at it, and he's reading it. And again, this is my deepest, darkest, emotional, embarrassed. My darkest secret was this middle name. And so he looks at the ID, he reads Butters, and his eyes were like dinner plates. They got so big, and the biggest smile behind his beard was just he was just so happy. And I was like, oh no, this is the worst case thing that could possibly happen to me. And he almost whispers, he goes, is your middle name Butters? And I was like, yes, it's Butters. And he goes, everyone, there's 140 guys on the team, huh? He goes, turn off the music, because there was music playing. And the music turns off. He goes, everyone. He goes, this rookie. Because again, rookies don't have names, right? You're just the rookie. He goes, this rookie. His name is Butters. Everyone call him Butters. And then everyone cheered. It was they were like, fuck you, Butters. You piece of shit. And I was like, oh. So I'm not crying out loud, but I was crying inside. And so I was like, oh, this is the worst. So I put on pants. I put on a shirt. And I walk out. And I'm just devastated. Because my worst fear has essentially emerged. And I called my mom. And I remember I was like, Mom, you've ruined me. My life is over. And she goes, Fraser, be brave, embrace your middle name, embrace it. And I was like, oh, so I went home. I just sweat all night. I remember just looking at the wall, and in my mind, I was like, this is going to ruin my football career. I'm gonna get kicked out of school somehow. Like they're gonna kick me off the team, my scholarship, it's all gone because of this middle name. Totally irrational. I come back the next day and everyone knew me as Butters, which is good, right? So people are like, Butters, Butters. And I was like, oh, every time they said it, it just pierced my heart. And then I realized, I was like, oh, actually, people actually like this name because there's a famous character on South Park, like the cartoon, called Butters. And at that point, it was really popular. And so everyone on the team was like, embraced it. And no one made fun of me for that name. It was just like the name I was known for. And then I realized, I was like, oh, my embarrassment is irrational. Like I've held this irrational fear for so long, but it actually has it hasn't, even though it's emerged, like I'm suffering for it, I'm suffering unnecessarily. Like there actually are no social consequences. And I've discovered essentially from that moment that pretty much every sense of being embarrassed has been something like that, where I think it's a mountain, but it's actually a molehill. I think it's going to destroy me, but it's actually nothing. And so then from that point, I essentially create a little mode or method where whenever I feel embarrassed, that sense of like, ooh, I think of that story and I actually zoom out on myself. I like the camera zooms out on me. I look at myself and I go, ooh, Fraser's feeling embarrassment. Is it something reasonable? Like, am I about to embarrass myself on national TV? Okay, don't do that thing. But if it's something where I go, yeah, I don't think this is anything, I think it's irrational, it's a distortion of my perception of things, then I'm obligated, I force myself to do that thing. And I can tell you that I've never regretted it, because when you lean into that embarrassment, when you sit in it for a couple seconds, or you actually do the thing that you're embarrassed of, you'll actually have freedom on the other side, a sense of relief. And I'll give you an example of this. So when I was growing up, another mother trauma story, I had a big nose. Like my face was small, but my nose was like adult size. I came out with like this nose at birth. And so people used to critique my nose on occasion. And my mom once told me, she's like, Fraser, like, don't worry about your big nose. Like it's a Roman general's nose. It's very nice. It's big, but it's like esteemed, you know, like it's like a general. And I really liked Rome. Rome was my favorite history class, or like I like that topic. So I was like, a Roman general? Like, wow, I must be so good looking. And when I became a police officer, the bad guys, when you put them in the back of the police cart, when you're driving to like the jail, about 1 out of 4, let's say, will just make fun of you, and they'll look for physical imperfections or something that's obvious. So if you got a bad haircut, they're making fun of it. Like if you're going bald, they're like, you bald son of a gun, or, you know, but imagine much more mean, you know, any physical imperfection, they'll make fun of you because they want you to like suffer, right? Hurt people. Anyways, what I always got made fun of was my nose. And so this idea of like, oh, I have this nice, beautiful nose was critiqued by many, many bad people, like probably more than a dozen times. They'd be like, look at this giant nose. Like one guy called me, it was a sundial. Like if I laid down flat, like the sun would hit my nose and you could tell the time. And I was like, that's actually really funny. So I could feel myself starting to get anxiety, because in my mind, I was this Roman general with a nose, nice nose, but the bad guys were essentially calling me out saying I got a big nose, which is true. And so I thought, oh, I'm feeling that embarrassment. Is it rational? Should I like get a nose job, or should I do my little technique? So I zoomed out, I looked at my nose, and I thought, oh, this is actually, yeah, you've got a big nose. Let's lean into it. Let's use it as an opportunity. Let's say stoicism. Let's use it as an opportunity to not suffer unnecessarily and like leverage it in some positive way. So to me, it became like stoic discipline, a chance to like sit in embarrassment and overcome it and feel that freedom and relief on the other side. And so whenever the bad guys would make fun of my nose, I'd be like, yes, like do it. So I'd say, give me more, like give me your best shot, like kind of gamified it, which often got them to stop anyways. But it allowed me to not be super embarrassed by that. And when I'd see my other police officers, like my buddies who I was working with, they didn't have that technique. So if you were like, let's say overweight, one of my police officer friends I used to work with was a bit overweight, they would be like, you fat piece of shit. Like they just unload on this guy all the time. Like that was the one thing they really poked him on. And he was embarrassed by that. And he could never really overcome that. So when they did make fun of him for being overweight, which is cruel, it would sit with him for the whole shift. Like you could just see it eating him away. We'd have to like intervene and be like, hey, you good, bro? And he'd be like, nah, I'm upset. As opposed to me, although it's a different issue, like, you know, I can't get rid of my nose, but I could have been like, oh, like those bastards, and got a nose job, and maybe I'd look different, or maybe I'd look better now. Maybe I should have done it. But I didn't have that issue. And so now I lean forward into this all the time. And this allows me to live a more fun life. Like there's just joy in that, because sometimes the things we're embarrassed about are silly. So for example, the reason I'm making this video is because yesterday I went to a Bali like morning retreat kind of thing. It was like a 1-day Bali adventure, essentially, where you do like yoga and all this other stuff. And some of it's like, in my mind, is kind of silly. Like one of the things was like going to like a cave and dancing with a whole bunch of people. And it was like weird music, and some guy had like an oboe, and like it was just like a very bizarre situation. And the people I was with, I didn't know everyone, but half the group was like, yeah, this is like cool and fun. And the other half was like, where are we? Like, we're in this cave, like dancing with a bunch of like Bali hippies and stuff. And they're like, it was just a very eclectic scene. And I remember sitting there being like, I don't know anyone. I don't know everyone in the group that well. The music is like fun to, like, we're supposed to dance like barefoot in this cave. And I thought, oh, I feel a bit embarrassed. Like, it's just weird. Like, I've never been in this scenario. But then I thought, no, I actually kind of want to do it, but I'm embarrassed. And then I cued. So I said, oh, the feeling of embarrassment, that's my flag. I zoom out. I looked at myself. I go, would I regret if I didn't do this? Yes. But is there any like risk? Like, am I going to end up on the news or like, die or something? Like, is the embarrassment reasonable? And I said, no, it's just like the nose. It's just like my middle name. It's irrational. It's a distortion of reality in my mind. And I thought, I'm just insecure. Time to lean into it. So I just lean into it. So I went right in the middle of the dance floor, not even like in the back. I went right to the middle, and I was dancing. And then within a couple seconds, I was like, it's actually super fun. And I had a weird Bali experience that was light and easy. But I noticed that some of the people in my group never came to the dance floor. They were just kind of sitting there, arms crossed, which is like that universal sign of like anxiety, like, ugh, I don't like this. And so my day was really good. After that dancing thing, we had like a weird stretching class. It was like some sort of weird stretching class. That was like weird. Like they had smoke, and it was all about like the, like your chakra and all that stuff. Again, I'm not super into that. It was really good. I actually really liked it. But you could tell that people in my group were like, this is weird. This is foreign. I'm kind of embarrassed. So myself, though, I was like, oh, like embarrassment, who cares? This is good. Like, I'm getting embarrassment training, and I'm getting this cool experience that I can talk about in this video or just to my friends and family later on. So I had a great day. And then when reviewing it as a group, some of the people were like, well, it was okay, but like, and I could just tell it. They just leaned into that embarrassment. Even if they didn't like the experience per se, they would have had a much more fun time. So this embarrassment thing, I think in most cases is a social distortion. And if you let it override your intuition to do the thing you want to do, your life will be less fun. There'll be less joy. And I do find that you'll suffer unnecessarily. So don't be like that. Be like me. Embrace your big nose. Embrace your middle name or whatever your weird social quirk is. Lean into that, and I think your life will be a little bit better. So that's it. Does that resonate with everyone? If there's anything you want to add, let me know. That's it for this video, and I'll catch you on the next one.